We had an idea that we really wanted to do something to support visual artists making new ideas in historic spaces. And we developed this idea to shortlist 8 emerging artists each year and mentor and support them to produce new ideas.
My name is Phoebe Scott, and the title of my proposal is Glamour of the Big Wigs. I would like to make this huge, crazy, flamboyant wig that is interactive so people can sit in it and it look like they're wearing it, take photos, kind of memorialize the history of Seaton and the flamboyance and theatricality and just craziness of the place.
Hey, I'm Jordan Edge, a trans and non-binary multidisciplinary artist based in Newcastle. Our project for the Seaton Delaval Hall Emerging Artist Award is called the Lyre of Elysium. It's a large-scale wind harp instrument based around the painting of Elizabeth Delaval, posing with the medieval lyre harp. The harp is a speculation into the writing, imagination and meditations of Elizabeth Delaval.
So my name is Lucy Waters and my proposal is Delaval Ware. I started looking at the Delaval family tree, and from there I kind of just started looking at the inheritance and the bloodline with all the males and the succession that way on, which I kind of was a little bit infuriated by with the lack of female representation in the line. Obviously there's a lot of them, but not a lot went to them, and across over to the Astleys as well. So I just started looking at the females, particularly the Gay Delavals and the oldest sibling Rhoda, and kind of imagined myself to have been commissioned by her to have created kind of a legacy piece of ceramic ware that kind of contributes to all of the females and their legacy throughout the history of the family. That would only be exclusively for the females to use.